In this video, we're now going to take a deep dive into using all of these options, 1, 2, and 3 here that Pear Deck has to offer. We're going to go into a Google Slides presentation, and I'll be demonstrating all of the different types of interactive questions that you can embed into your Google Slides presentation to turn it into a true Pear Deck experience. To start adding questions, you're going to want to open up a Google Slides presentation that you would use with your students. Once we have our presentation open, we'll click the Pear Deck icon at the top, or you can go to Add-ons and open Pear Deck that way. Once we see on the right side here, we're not going to start our lesson yet because we don't have any interactive questions that we've created over here. We do want to take a look at the template library. The template library, first off, has all kinds of built-in slides that are already created if you wanted to use them for each part of your lesson. So let's say, for example, at the beginning of my lesson, I want to insert this slide here. I'm just going to go ahead and click it. And it's going to work for a second. And what it's going to actually do is it's going to actually insert this slide into my presentation. So it kind of serves as a break. This would be a slide. We notice that we see this bar down here. This indicates that it is a Pear Deck slide. I can go ahead and I can change this as I want. So maybe this is the bell ringer, write your directions here. You can customize anything you want for any of these slides that Pear Deck puts in. You can customize them as you want. You can put images in there. You can put anything else you want in there. And there's lots of other different types of beginning lesson activities that you have here. You know, maybe you can start with the homework slide. They can draw 2 different types of things about the topic, maybe that you're going to learn about today or that they learned about yesterday. So there's lots of different ways that students can interact, and these are going to be inserted actually into the presentation itself. If you're looking for formative assessments or activities students can be doing in the middle of this lecture, again, these are other slides that you can embed that are already pre-created for you by Pear Deck, and then end of the lesson reflections and exit tickets as well. The learning and development section are going to be slides that Pear Deck is going to put into your presentation revolving around critical thinking. So these are just different ways that you can think about, or the students will respond to the content that you're presenting to them. And there's social and emotional guides as well. This is a new feature. It does have subject area specific information, and these are slides that will be embedded in here as well. And so you can take a look at those, math, science, and social studies that you can insert into your presentation. So if we select back, now again, we're going to leave the template library. The template library are pre-created by Pear Deck. All of these are going to insert a brand new slide into your presentation. Once that slide is inserted, you can change it in any way that you want. Down here in the bottom, we notice that this is how the students are going to respond to that prompt. So now the second type of question we can add in are going to be these questions right here. And these questions are going to be added to slides that you already have. So if you have a slide that is heavy in content and you want to add a text question to the slide, you can. This will add a multiple choice question to the slide. You'll have to put the question on the slide, but then you'll answer the choices. This would be a number guess. This would be inserting a website onto here. This would, making it a drawing tool, students would be able to use drawing tools for whatever content is being displayed here. And then this would be the draggable tool here. You also can record and upload audio files, which is a new feature that Pear Deck has created recently. So if I wanted to make this a Pear Deck slide, and let's say that here's a question here. Maybe this is my question on my slide. And now if I want students to respond to this, I'm going to make a text slide. So I'm simply showing my slide. I'm going to click text. Okay, it's going to ask me to double check to update the slide. Yes, I want to update the slide with the Pear Deck. It's adding the interactive question. And so we now see that this is a Pear Deck question with this bar at the bottom. It tells me this is a text slide. So what that means is students will have free response for a text slide. It gives me directions down here also to edit. If I wanted to change it, I would just simply click one of these other ones here. If I want to add a, let's say here's the slide. Let's say I want to add a multiple choice question or a drawing question. I think this was the drawing question that you guys had. It's indicated here for drawing. If you want to take off an interactive slide, let's say that I applied and turned this into a drawing interactive tool like it is here, but let's say I want to get rid of it. I simply click this toolbar, delete it, and it's gone. and this is no longer interactive. If I want to make it interactive again, I would then select this. I want students to be able to draw on this as they interact. Go ahead and update the slide. And that's basically all we did to give students the ability to be able to draw that line on here that you experienced in the first lesson. This next one here is you guys drew a flag. You had a draggable. So I'm going to delete this and show you how we did that. We simply clicked draggable. We updated our slide. Gives you a preview of what it's going to look like for students. Now, when we do this, we have a couple different options here. We can choose different types of draggables. We can add multiples. And so we can add up to 5 different types. We can also use this slider to change the size of the dots as well. So thinking about how many dots you're having your students put on here and how many students you have may determine how big these are going to want to be. Go ahead and update your slide. Again, these ones that you experienced here, these were the pre-made templates. We go down here, here's another pre-made template, and again, this was from the template library right here. Socio-emotional, again from the template library. We navigate a little more. This one here was a simple text question. So we inserted a text question on top of this. It was already created. This was a Spanish example, so this was all on the presentation slide. And all we did was do draw, and we made it a drawing tool. And again, it indicates that here. That gave us the ability to draw accent marks on these 4 Spanish language words. If you want to preview what this will look like from a student perspective as you are creating it, there's a couple things we can do. The first thing is if you want to remember back to the prior video in this lesson, it showed you the different types of questions and then what the student perspective will be. So you can go ahead and look at the video that came right before this video and take a look at what are those different interactive types and then how will they be represented from a student perspective. If you want to dive a little deeper into that and actually do it yourself, this might be a method that works for you. So in this way, I'm going to actually start a lesson and I'm going to join the lesson as myself so I can then go through and make sure it looks good. So in order to preview this lesson, I'm going to quickly start it. I'm going to choose student paste so that when I join it, I can just go through and see all the slides really quickly. So it's going to load the presentation. It's going to give me the link to the presentation for students to join. So I'm going to copy this link. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply open a new tab in my browser. I'm going to paste the link there. I'm going to click enter. And I'm going to join this as a student with my own GUHSD account. And now in this way, I can go through and skip through the slide presentations and all the interactives and make sure that they look exactly how I want them to look for my students. Once I'm done previewing, I can simply close the tab that I was in as a student. And then at this point, I can go ahead and end the session that I created in order for me to preview. And it'll pop me right back into my presentation. If I need to work on it any more, I can work on it more. If not, then I'm ready to go.